to have a mighty big river. There's a poet we all call Banjo, wrote a legend about a ride, about a man on a horse. He was brave, of course, and part of our nation's pride. We used to learn the poem at school. I'm hoping the hell we still do. The man from Snowy River means a lot to me and you. But what about a mighty big river that used to flow wide and strong? Thought we were clever to dam all the water, but we all know today we were wrong. We used to have a mighty big river. We rowed a little boat to get home. You know what I wish? I wish we'd left the Snowy River alone. But that's a romantic notion, a dreamer's luxury. Soon we'll be paying for rain, and they'll add on a GST. You can't have a river these days if they don't get a piece of the pie. But the Snowy River people are saying we can't let the Snowy die. Yeah, what about a mighty big river that used to flow wide and strong? Thought we were clever to dam all the water, but we all know today we were wrong. We used to have a mighty big river. We rowed a little boat to get home. You know what I wish? I wish we'd left the Snowy River alone. Now banjo, don't roll over. Haven't given up the fight. I've got a deep down feeling the Snowy River people are right. We ought to be ashamed, us humans have got a cheek to leave her high and dry, to dribble like a little creek. Yeah, what about a mighty big river that used to flow wide and strong? Thought we were clever to dam all the water, but we all know today we were wrong. We used to have a mighty big river. We rowed a little boat to get home. You know what I wish? I wish we'd left the Snowy River alone. You know what I wish? I wish we'd left the Snowy River alone. bushman can't survive on city life. Opera, rock and roll, private life. His moon shines on the silver brigalow, shimmers down the inland river, out there with the hillbilly. His kelpie dog is tired and out of sleep, sick of searching for sheep. His master doesn't whistle tune, he's not in the mood. His love of open spaces runs too deep. Now a bushman can't survive on city life. Opera, rock and roll, his moon shines on the silver, shimmers down out there with his tries to please his lady of his standing at a party. She finds him on the balcony, staring at an old familiar face.
You've got to wake the dog up first.
His moon shines on the silver brigalow, shimmers down the inland river flow, out there. Hey, true blue, don't say you've gone. Say you've knocked off for a smoker, and you'll be back later on. Hey, true blue. Hey, true blue. Give it to me straight, face to face. Are you really disappearing? Just another dying race. Hey, true blue. True blue. Is it me and you? Is it mom and dad? Is it a cockatoo? Is it standing by your mate when he's in a fight? Or just Vegemite? True blue, I'm asking you. Hey, true blue, can you bear the load? Will you tie it up with wire just to keep the show on the road? Hey, true blue. Hey, true blue. Now be fair dinkum, is your heart still there? if they sell us out like sponge cake? Do you really care? Hey, true blue. True blue. Is it me and you? Is it mom and dad? Is it a cockatoo? Is it standing by your mate when she's in a fight? Or just Vegemite? True blue, I'm asking you. True blue, is it me and you? Is it mom and dad? Is it a cockatoo? Is it standing by your mate when he's in a fight? Or just Vegemite? True blue, true blue.
My fishing days are now over, and I'm just reflecting on the past, enjoying every single moment of that fishing rod that I've cast. It seems a little different as I ponder back through my dreams, along the banks of the rivers, the creeks and the streams. So if you can imagine, out the weir with the blokes, enjoying every single moment, catching fish, telling jokes. That is probably where I am. I'm enjoying Mother Nature at her best, thinking about many different things. My family, my mates. I was truly blessed. Then think about Kankaran, where I've fished and caught a few. I've lived most of my life out there at Malden and spent most of the best moments with all of you. I've walked up on top of Tarrangower and I've taken in that panoramic view. The city lights of Melbourne, the bushland and the kangaroos. But today I'm truly humbled to see all of you, my mates I've made throughout my lifetime, from school days, from working, and of course the fun times too. So don't be sad that I've gone and the world might seem a little blue. Just think of me out there at Kankaran fishing, probably having a drink or two. I think Johnny'd be pretty impressed to see so many people here today. He'd be going crook though, saying we're making too much fuss about him. But I know in his own way he'd be pretty delighted that you have made that effort to be here as his family and as his mates to share this tribute to him. After this tribute here, you're all invited to stay and join next door and share plenty of your stories together, and I know there is some plenty of good stories of John. He will be privately cremated. At a later date, his ashes are to be scattered out at Malden. Now to invite his daughter Sue forward. You're right, to come up and sing your song.
I went and saw my dad last week, and he wanted me to have a guitar for my son. So when I got home that night, I sat up crying and writing a song. So this is a little tribute I've done for my dad, because I know he'll get a kick out of it. It's an ode to my dad, and it's called Next Time Around. Could you hold that for me, please, lovey? Okay. This for you, Dad. Next time around, I choose you as my dad. We're gonna have something we've never had. Next time around, we'll be best of friends. We'll have each other from beginning to end. Next time around, you'll teach me guitar, how to tie knots and reverse parallel park. Next time around, no fear will be had, 'cause I am your daughter and you are my dad. We'll both be brave, our love will be proud, and that's what I want next time around. So please God, let him in. When it's my turn, we'll meet again. I love you now, and I love you then, and I love you next time around.
Let's say goodbye with a smile, dear, just for a while, dear, we must part. Don't let this parting upset you, I'll not forget you, sweetheart. We'll meet again, don't know where, don't know when, but I know we'll meet again some sunny day. Keep smiling through, just like you always do, till the blue skies chase those dark clouds far away. And I will just say hello to the folks that you know, tell them you won't be long. They'll be happy to know that as I saw you go, you were singing this song. We'll meet again, don't know where, don't know when, but I know we'll meet again some sunny day. Just say hello to the folks that you know, tell them you won't be long. They'll be happy to know that as I saw you go, you were singing this song. We'll meet again, don't know where, don't know when, but I know we'll meet again some sunny day.
Thank Thank you, Sue, for a lovely little song you wrote for your dad.
I'm sure he got a kick out of it.
I'm sure he would have. Johnny was born John Reginald Burchell. He was born here in Castlemaine on August the 21st, 1947. He was the first of the 4 boys born to Reg and Joyce Burchell. His brothers being Trevor, Don and then Stephen. Being 3 years older than Trevor, John would ask other kids to come and play with him. He was a pretty friendly sort of a kid. The family had many camping and fishing trips when the boys were growing up, and that passion for fishing soon developed in John. And many photos, even the ones here today, taken throughout the years of John, have him holding a pretty good fish. He started his schooling years out at Malden Primary School, then came into here to the Castlemaine Tech. After completing his tech school, he started his apprenticeship up at Thompson's foundry. He was an apprentice fitter and turner, then remained there for about 5 years. Once John had completed his apprenticeship, he did a bit of travelling around Australia. But then he came back to Malden in the early 1970s. He'd got a job in Ballarat and got married to Leonie and had 2 daughters, Lisa and Susan. But after the short marriage, he went to Kyogle and he met Wendy. They built a house together and set up a mobile sawmill business, which has been in a few of the photos as well. And that was where he developed his love of whiskey, and he built his own distillery. He came back here to Malden for a while in the 1980s. He had a Hanson cab, which is also in the photos, which was a horse-drawn carriage that he'd restored and he'd take tourists around Malden with. His horse, Copper, passed away when he later returned to Kyogle. In the late 1990s, John again returned back here to Malden and purchased a property up in Davies Lane. His wish there was to restore that original house that had been burnt down a few years earlier. But he was disappointed to learn that the council would not allow a residence to be built on that land because it had been all rezoned. He continued to fight with the council over the years to be able to restore it, but was refused every time. But he did manage to build that hut up there, and he began to settle back into the Malden community and its way of life. He became involved with a lot of local things, including the Petanque Club, which he loved. He also loved to watch the Malden boys playing footy on a Saturday out there. He did a lot of pottering around in that mine on his property, seeking his fortune, which was forever elusive. And sadly, over time, John's health had deteriorated both mentally and physically, and he was declining rapidly in the last 2 years. He was admitted into care, and when he finally settled in, he took a turn for the worse and went downhill and passed away very quickly. He was a loved father, a brother, a son, a friend to all who knew him, and he now will finally have some rest in peace. I'm going to invite Wayne forward now, because Wayne's got a few stories to tell us.
First off, thanks everyone who's travelled and made an effort to come here for Uncle Johnny, for all the Burchell family. We really appreciate it. I know a lot of you are very close with him as well. He was a different character. He had a real, if not kooky, way of looking at life, and looked at the funny side of things all the time without taking things too serious one bit. I've always been very proud to be a Burchell, and that's not trying to say we're something we're not, but you'd hear all the stories of Johnny, Dad, and Don and Steve when they were young, and the adventures and that they'd get up to, and always just hoped that one day you could be a chip off the old block, just like all the Burchell boys were. But in one way, it's lucky that we weren't, because it was found very on, especially with Johnny, that he had this knack of receiving things, just ordinary things, and handing them back in a lot worse way than what he'd received then. Whether it was pranging a car or a motorbike or a push bike. When we were kids, I honestly thought he lived in the hospital, because we'd always go visit Uncle Johnny in the hospital. And even in there, he found ways to get smokes in and blow him up the suction pipe that he was supposed to be using to help him recover. He just didn't take things too serious that way, and always showed the grit. He'd grit his teeth and get on with it. One of the funniest things I ever seen Johnny do was he bought an ultralight and he brought it down, and he'd got some hours up, got a bit of experience flying it, never took the final step to get a pilot's licence, but he'd had enough training, he thought. So he brought it down. We were down behind Mount Tarrangower, and Dad took it for a little flight and landed it back in this paddock, just a paddock out behind. Just had to get the timing right to clear the gum trees, that sort of thing, miss the barbed wire fence. And it was Johnny's turn, and he strapped himself in, and I wish we had mobile phones back then, but what I seen was unbelievable. He strapped himself in, and Dad's giving him the last few tips of the wind direction, looking up at the torn shirt on the stick, showing which way the wind's going. He's going, now you're going to want to taxi this way and take off into that. Yeah, no worries, Tra, no worries. And then floored it, just took it straight off, didn't listen to one word that Dad said about the wind, took off crosswind, and he's actually got up in the air, and the wind has come under the wing and turned him into a spiral, and he's just nosedived, clipped the ground with the wing and started jackhammering nose first into the ground until Dad ran across and switched it off for him. And he goes, well, that's it, Trev. I think I'll be the mechanic, you can be the pilot. Once again, unscathed. I swear he had 9 lives. All the adventures and that he went through and got out, he got out pretty good really out of a lot of them. But also talking to Mum and Dad just about some of the days when he was younger, and as Pete touched on, he did his apprenticeship at the foundry, and after he finished there, he headed off. He went up to Mount Tom Price in the mines up there, and when they got there, as there is with mines, there's all procedures in place. All the new guys, the fitters, had to grab a green helmet, and they could be spotted from anywhere. They were a fitter. Supervisors had white, and straight away, only just into his trade, he thought, I might grab a white helmet. So for 2 weeks, Johnny walked around this mine site wearing this white helmet, and no one was coming up to him. He was just supervising everyone until the mine crew thought, where's this Johnny Burchell? We haven't seen him. And it didn't take him long then to figure out he was wearing this white helmet, and sent him on his way then. That was the end of his couple of weeks up at Mount Tom Price. But and just something else I want to share just before I jump off. Seeing Susan get up there, it showed them courage to strum away and write a song. I take my hat off to you. That's amazing to be able to do that. I wish I had that sort of courage. But Johnny was like that. We had a New Year's not long ago where he turned up with the tea chest and tambourines and all that sort of thing, and before we knew it, we all had to grab an instrument and play along ourselves. It was shocking, but we got through that. But he was the life of the party that way, with the energy he brought to anything like that. We'll miss him. Love you, Johnny.
Well done, Wayne. Now to invite Matt forward to share some memories as well.
Thank you everyone for coming today. John would be proud of you all. Thank you to the Tom Club too. I never knew Johnny as well as most of you guys, but the time I did know him, he's a great man to me. He looked after me. He was teaching me how to read before he left this world. And he was always honest with me, truthful, made me laugh. I miss him. I miss watching TV with him every night. Listen to his weird jokes he always used to crack up. I love you, John. I'm going to miss you, mate. Make sure you pay the ferryman. That's all.
Thanks, Matt. I know there's plenty of other stories in the room, and there is an opportunity if any of you want to share them now, or maybe later while we're having afternoon tea. I did hear quite a lot of those stories. You know, sitting and talking to Trev and that the other day, arranging a funeral was pretty entertaining when you start talking about Johnny and the things he got up to, and it's surprised that he's lived this long, really, with some of the stuff that he did, you know. And so a trip to Melbourne was one of them, in a little car, wasn't it? Come back without a door on it and had a bag on the side of it to get home. And I think Alan Lang might have been there at the time, were you, Al? Yeah. So there's some great stories like that, and out in McManus's Bend, isn't it? I think Harcourt was probably his worst spot to ever go. If he ever went through Harcourt, he'd tend to crash, from what I can hear. I am surprised that he did make it this long. Personally, knowing Johnny out at Maldon, you know, always had some good times at Easter, and Folk Festival weekend, he loved that too. Anything to get out and about in Maldon was pretty damn good for him. If anyone wants to share a story, you're most welcome to come up now. We'll move on. These stories of Johnny will always stay with us. Let us take a moment to reflect on them, what he's meant to each of us. We'll think of the fun we had with him. Perhaps those younger years, growing up, the school days out at Maldon and in here. How he travelled most of Australia. He always his love for Maldon at home. The camping, that photo on the back of that order of service of John. That's just him, isn't it? Fishing, pottering around and looking for his elusive huge nugget. His love of the bush and nature. A man who was always happy. Had his own way of looking on life. Always find time to help others if they needed it. It's a credit to what he did to help Matt, you know, teaching him to read. It's a wonderful thing to do. A man who was always loved by everyone around him. A man who'll be missed by us all. Today, as Johnny's family and friends, let us also think of each other. May we find hope in our lives and strengthen each other. And we'll tenderly commit him now to the elements. We are grateful for Johnny's life. We're so thankful that he shared it with us and with many others. And hereby may we highly resolve that while we live, we'll strive with all our might to make our own living of real worth and to carry on that work that has been laid down. So in a consciousness of work well done and a life now lived, John's death should leave us no sting. We will leave him in peace, and with respect we'll say farewell. Thus thinking of John, let us leave here with the knowledge that he loved us in his own very special way, and that our hearts and minds will hold many wonderful memories of a good and special mate. I want to close this part of our gathering today with a poem that's printed in here. It's called Miss Me But Let Me Go. It was read at his mum Joyce's funeral a few years ago. I think he kept a little copy of it with him all the time, so I know it meant so much to him. When I come to the end of the road and the sun has set for me, I want no rights in a gloom-filled room. Why cry for a soul that's set free? Miss me a little, but not too long, and not with your head bowed low. Remember the love that we once shared. Miss me, but let me go. For this is a journey we all must take, and each must take alone. It's all part of that master plan, a step on the road to home. When you are lonely and sick at heart, go to the friends we know, and bury your sorrows in doing good deeds. Miss me, but let me go. Would you all please stand? Today we have shared some very special memories of Johnny. They're great memories to take with you. Treasure them. Pass them on from generation to generation, keeping these memories alive in all of our hearts and minds. And as we do leave here, let us take this love we've shared with us. Let us take in our hands, hold it close to our hearts, and let us all go in peace. Thank you all.
I see my redhead, mess bed, tear shed, queen bee must squeeze. The stage smells, tells, hells, bells, misspells, knocks me on my knees. It didn't hurt, flirt, blood, squirt, stuff, shirt like me on a tree. After I count down 3 rounds in hell, I'll be in good company. Redhead, mess bed, tear shed, queen bee must squeeze. The stage smells, tells, hells, bells, misspells, knocks me on my knees. It didn't hurt, flirt, blood, squirt, stuff, shirt like me on a tree. After I count down 3 rounds in hell, I'll be in good
Don't go looking through that old camphor box, woman. You know those old things only make you cry. When you dream upon that little bunny rug, makes you think that life has passed you by. There are days when you wish the world would stop, woman, but then you know some wounds would never heal. But when I browse the early pages of the children, it's then I know exactly how you feel. Hey, it's July and the winter sun is shining, and the Cootamundra wattle is my friend. For all at once my childhood never left me, 'cause wattle blossoms bring it back again. It's Sunday and you should stop the worry, woman. Come out here and sit down in the sun. Can't you hear the magpies in the distance? Don't you feel the new day has begun? Can't you hear the bees making honey in the spotted gums where the bellbirds ring? You might grow old and bitter 'cause you missed it. You know some people never hear such things. Hey, it's July and the winter sun is shining, and the Cootamundra wattle is my friend. For all at once my childhood never left me, 'cause wattle blossoms